Welcome to the Bayou City Soccer Podcast. Whether inside or outside the loop, we are talking everything soccer in Houston. Y'all ready? Let's get it.
Welcome into a special episode of the Bayou City Soccer Podcast. We're pleased to be joined today by Houston Dynamo President of Soccer, Pat Onstad. Pat, how's it going?
Going well. It's going well. Can't complain.
Yeah, World Cup going on. A lot of excitement here in
Is
Houston.
the World Cup started? I haven't noticed.
I don't know if you saw. Messi scored some goals. Yeah,
really?
Ronaldo
Good for
did some
him.
stuff
That's
here.
amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah, a little soccer going on right now.
It's been great. It's been awesome.
Yeah, your boys, Canada, big one today. I know you were part of that 2000 Gold Cup team that won for Canada, but maybe
I did exactly what I'm doing right now is what I did for that team.
Hey, you were there, but maybe the biggest match in Canadian soccer history today? Chance to advance?
A chance. I mean, and to clinch first place would be huge, so I'm pulling for the guys. Yeah, that should be an exciting game.
Yeah, we talked about it. There's been, I think, 4 games so far in Houston. What have you seen from just this experience having the World Cup here? And we talked about getting to watch games. Have you got to watch as a fan, or do you still have
I've
that
been
GM hat on?
Yeah, I've been really lucky, and it's a fan hat. It's not a GM hat. I mean, these for most of the games, anyways, they're pretty unattainable. Although I hear Alexander Isaac might be in the on the trading block, so he might be available, but I don't think that's going to work. But it's been really enjoyable, and I've been fortunate. I've been involved. What am I, 58 now? So I've been around for a while and around soccer for a while, and I've never gone to a World Cup game before. So I went to the Germany Curacao game, and the atmosphere was awesome. And then fortunately got to go to the next 2 after that. But I actually could have watched yesterday's one, and I stepped out. I did some stuff before it came, and I said, "Nah, I've seen 3 already. I'm done. My World Cup's over." So, but it was fun. It was great, amazing atmosphere, and it's a great stadium to watch a game in too. So it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I guess apart from the stadium, Pat, what has impressed you the most about how Houston has embraced the World Cup and seen the city on the world stage at this point?
Yeah, I think the Fan Fest downtown, our Fan Fest at our stadium, our soccer celebration at Shell Energy Stadium has been well received. I think both of them, a lot of people down there, a lot of different jerseys around the city. So that part's been really exciting, and it's nice that we're celebrating soccer in the city. The reality is we are a soccer city. I mean, there's what, 8 million, 7.5 million people in this city. I'd say there's a good 5 to 6 million that are soccer fans. So it's been nice to be able to show off what type of city and the sport that we have for this sport. And I've really enjoyed it. I think it's been a lot of fun. And I missed the march. I missed the Dutch march. I didn't get behind the bus. That was a little too warm for my liking to do that one. But the stadium was incredible.
Yeah, I was surprised that all those Europeans, they were probably like, this is a little warmer than we thought for this.
Yeah, I think the 2.5 mile walk, I go, that's probably bit off a little more than they could chew to start with. I noticed a lot of them were drinking water and a little less beer. I noticed. So
probably smart on their part. But we've talked a lot about, and Rudy and I both have little ones that are into the World Cup. We've talked about this youth and all the way up to the Dynamo and to the academy. Just what kind of impact does something like this, a World Cup like this, have on these kids and this next generation of soccer players here in Houston?
Yeah, and I'm going to steal a story. So it was. I think this kind of puts in perspective where we are, because we're soccer fans. We're a little bit older, and some older than others on this call. But we're celebrating Messi at the end of his career, Ronaldo at the end of his career, and Asher Mendelson, our technical director, his daughter, wakes up. He goes, "Yeah, we're going to go see Cristiano Ronaldo." She goes, "Oh, is he still alive?" So that's a little bit of perspective. You're like, oh, okay, yeah. So, but it's I think for us, for younger generations. So she got to go and she got to see Cristiano Ronaldo score 2 goals. So the hope is that legacy will carry on. And I think from the '94 World Cup that was here, there are still people it's my age, my generation, and our generations where they were like, I remember that. I remember, and people said, I remember. I went to Pontiac Silverdome and watched the game there. I went to the Rose Bowl and watched the game there. And, I think those things hopefully help. And I understand, I think the frustrating part for me a little bit is the cost of the tickets. It's not for everybody, but that's where I think the soccer celebration we have downtown, the fan fest, where I'm been really happy to see that that's been well attended, and I think that's a good opportunity for people to get the World Cup spirit here without having to take out a second or third mortgage. Yeah.
No kidding. And while the city, has been focusing on the World Cup and really the nation, but what has the period looked like for the Dynamo behind the scenes, Pat? I know that we're off for a couple weeks and then been back for a couple weeks training. How's that going and looking?
Yeah, we're into our second week of training. The first week, when these guys get 3 weeks off in the summer, which they never really get, it's pretty rare. So I think these guys enjoyed themselves. In fairness, though, they came back and we tested them right out of the gate, and the guys clearly been doing their off-season workouts, so that's nice. But we've got some work to do. I think we finished the season in a really good spot. Our last 8 games was a 5-2-1, something like that. But defensively, we really shut it down the last 5 games, only giving up 4 goals. So I like the way we were headed going into the break. Now for us to come out, we need to continue that. I think defensively we've been a lot better. We have Lucas Halter coming back off surgery. He'll be fit coming back in, so that'll help us defensively. And then I think the big one for us though is how do we figure out getting everybody on board? Obviously, we need Zeke to start scoring up top for us, or get some production. Or if it's not Zeke, does Linger get an opportunity and a run at it? We'll see how that plays out. And Matty Bogusz, got to get him starting to score some goals. He's getting in good areas. I think he looks dangerous. He just hasn't really been putting the ball in the back of the net or making the final pass. But we like the areas he's getting into. But we've got to just tighten that up and be a little more clinical when we get in these good opportunities.
It's a long season for you guys, and starting next year we go to the new schedule. I know you've talked about the summer being what it is here in Houston, and ideally we get to play a little more in Houston, but having this summer off and having this break for the guys, how big is that, just not only physically but mentally for them as they go into the second stretch?
We'll see, right? Because we had nice momentum going into the break, so that you're always a little worried. Can we grab that momentum back, or can we continue it? So that part's a little nervy, but I like the chance. We're still, funny enough, I thought, okay, we'd be able to get guys over the line pretty quickly and get a couple of new guys in. And unfortunately, it seems like when the World Cup's on, it's really hard to do soccer business. So we're still pushing as a lot of other teams are. So we'll see if we can add a couple to this group and help kind of push us up the ladder. I mean, our goal at this stage, we're seventh. Kind of with a game in hand. We still have that New England game got canceled early. We got to make up, but we think we have, we're not far off, 3 points off fourth place, and that's our target. Try to see if we can be a top 4 team this year and get home field advantage in the playoffs.
And the club obviously scheduled several friendlies during the break. What were the goals when putting this schedule together, and what is the goal for the team for these matches, Pat?
Yeah, I mean, the goal is to make sure we're ready to go when we play DC in July 22nd. That's our number one goal. I think we're going to see some opportunities for some young players. Matthew Arana, it's a big chance for him to kind of show if he can get some minutes with the first team. He's done really well with the second team to start the season. So he'll get some minutes here in some of these games. We actually have 5 preseason friendlies, a couple of them, Philadelphia and New York, the next week, and then another one behind closed doors, and then the 2 that fans can come out and see, Olympia and America de Cali. So for us was to make sure that we're prepared for July 22nd, and we come right out of the gates with 2 games in 4 days. So we've got to make sure we're ready to go, and that'll be tough. We'll have to manage some minutes, I think, for guys coming out of that. It's tough to ask you go 180 minutes at a high intensity over 4 days right out of the gate, but we're excited about the group.
Yeah, Pat, summer, it's always, everyone starts talking about transfers and things that are happening. But, first off, you guys have Logan Erb came back from loan, Exxon Arzu's loan coming to an end. Just what can you tell us about just the goalkeeper position for one, and guys that are coming back for the squad?
Yeah, we're pretty fortunate. We're pretty deep in goal. We really like Pedro Cruz, who's been starting with the second team. Looking for him to try to break through into the first team and put some pressure on. Blake Gillingham has been a really good draft pick for us. We need to get him some games, so that's something that we're exploring, seeing if we can get him loaned out somewhere where we can get him some games. And then Logan Erb's a kind of highly touted guy coming out of college. And they had an injury in Corpus Christi, had an injury with their starter, and they needed a guy for a few games. And He kind of had an up and down experience, or he had some games where he played really well and then gave up a bit of a dodgy one at the last performance. But he's a guy I think over time can develop into an MLS caliber goalkeeper. So goalies we're happy with. Exxon's a guy that we'll probably still try to find another loan for him. He struggled to fit in. We don't see him breaking into the first team, so we'll see if we can give him an opportunity so that he can continue his career somewhere else. Unfortunately, his last loan, it didn't look like that club was going to. They just really couldn't afford him, so we got to try to find a club where he can be successful at.
Yeah, and Dustyn mentioned it, right? The closer you get to summer, everybody starts asking about that summer transfer window, Pat. But you touched on some of the guys currently in the team that need to kind of get started, like opponents to scoring goals. So, but
Yeah.
how active do you expect to be this summer when it comes to
Uh,
transfers?
yeah, it's a good question. Relatively, but not massive. I mean, what, 14 players, I believe it was, that we brought in the winter. It takes time, and I think you saw that with us at the gate. We were still kind of trying to figure out who we were. Now we're kind of a little bit more of a transition team. We're pretty direct in the way we play. Not direct like old Wimbledon of the late 80s and early 90s, but direct in terms of quick attacks and being dynamic. But we probably need a little bit of help outside back when we were playing as a five, which didn't work out terribly well for us. We had a lot of wing backs, but we don't have a lot of fullbacks. So we probably need to add a fullback to the group. And then with the lack of goals coming from the forward position, that's a position that we need to try to get better at. So those are the two positions I think we'd look to try to add this summer.
Yeah, when you mentioned, the team is playing well, it's you guys are on a roll here. You come back, Lucas Halter's coming back, basically a summer signing almost. But how do you balance that, looking at ways to strengthen this team, but also, you guys have a good core and keeping that together.
Yeah, I mean, we have players on our team that other teams are interested in. So, like a Jack McGlynn, there's been no secret about Jack, his aspirations to go overseas. And, while I think if he would have loved to have been on the national team and that might have driven up his value and given him some more opportunities, there's still a lot of teams that are interested in him. So there is a chance that he would move. If he moves, I don't see us really replacing. I think we have guys in house between Augustine Bouzat and Hector getting some more minutes and Matthew Arana. So we have some guys in house we think can play a role in a little different way, but I think we probably wouldn't solve that by going outside of the club. And other than that, we'll see what comes. And Ollie's had a good season so far and done well as a fullback. So he'd like to get higher up the field. So I think for us is how do we get him a little bit higher and get him closer to goal because I think he's pretty dangerous when he gets there.
Yeah, just wanted to follow up about Jack. We heard about this with Coco. It was like Coco wants to go. He's going to go
Yeah.
eventually. And you guys were very good in working with him and finding, the way with Jack. And you mentioned it. There's no surprise. He wants to go to the
Yeah.
big stage, the big plays in Europe. Just from your position, how do you guys kind of that balance, again, a balance of, doing what's best for Jack, but also doing what's best for the Houston Dynamo?
And I think it's having a succession plan, and I think for us we've done that. We're pretty deep in central midfield, and if he plays on the right and comes inside, we have Matty Bogusz already there, and if we get a fullback, that opens up Lawrence to play in that position too. So I think we're covered. That's a good example. I think the bad example was the year before when we sold Mikel, and we really didn't have a center back cover or a succession plan for him. We hoped Femi Owadusu would be able to make the jump, which was, because Mikel did it, it's unfair to put that pressure on that young kid to do it. And then we brought in some guys on loan that we thought maybe would work, and until we settled, it was too late in the season when we got Antonio Carlos in. So I think it's important when we do move players on that we have a plan in place and that we're ready to react. And I think if Jack, and then there's nothing's in stone here, but we do know people have kicked the tires on him. If he were to move, I think we're very comfortable with the guys we have in our locker room right now.
And when it comes to the MLS being back and returning, what are your biggest objectives for the group? And Pat, what gives you confidence that the team can accomplish those goals as well?
Yeah, I'd stated it earlier, and it's been a marker kind of laid down with the group here as well as we're striving for a top four finish in our our division. I think that gives us a good opportunity in the playoffs. It would also show that we're, playing at a high level to get up there. I think we've worked really hard in the last 8 games to kind of get ourselves back in the playoff picture and get that solidified. And I think we've done that. Now it's about trying to shoot for the top of the table. I think Guilherme, we need to try and get some other guys going. We can't keep relying on Guilherme to carry this team. He's been absolutely outstanding. Like, to me, he's the newcomer of the year in our league, which is a credit to him and the ability and how quickly he adjusted to our league. But at the same token, that's a lot of pressure to put on one guy to be able to carry this team for the next 20 games. So we're going to need some more production out of central midfield, probably some better set piece production, and then certainly out of Maddie and our forward, whoever that ends up being. We need some goals and some assists out of them. But like I said, I think Maddie's the one I think where we're pretty confident that he'll come good. And he's the first guy to tell you he's frustrated in terms of his end result, but he's getting in good areas, and as long as we continue that, he'll come good eventually.
He's Houston Dynamo FC president of soccer, Pat Onstad. Pat, before we let you go, we talked about the World Cup a little bit. So many fans, 20,000 fans at Shell Energy Stadium for that Mexico game. 50,000 fans, I think, was what the club put out that have come out to games. When the World Cup is over, sadly, it will have to end. And we get back to soccer, we still have the Dynamo and the Dash and so much soccer in Houston.
Yeah.
What message do you have for the fans out there that are Dynamo fans and also fans that are just soccer fans looking to keep this going?
Yeah, well, I mean, hopefully that people have enjoyed the sport in general. Obviously, that's the highest level that our sport, it's like the Olympics, or this is the highest level of our sport. So, but we put on a good product in the field. We're exciting to watch. We have a lot of guys from different countries here that represent the countries proudly, and that's the beauty of our sport. That's why you see 48 different countries here celebrating the sport of soccer. And I'm not sure. I should know this off the top of my head. I'm going to yell at Jack after, but I think we probably have 11 to 12 different nationalities represented in our roster, maybe even more than that. But it's a fun group to watch the way we play as well. We're an exciting team, and we try to score goals. We don't sit back and hope for 1-0. We're a team that tries to score goals. So hopefully people will come out and enjoy the stadium. It's a fantastic venue to watch a game. So we're excited about what the second half here will bring for us.
He's Pat Onstad, president of soccer for the Houston Dynamo. Pat, we always appreciate the time. Best of luck as you guys get back to the season, and best of luck to Canada today against Switzerland. Big one for the Canucks.
It's burgundy, but it's got a little red in it. So
a little orange, a little red. Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah, we got it all.
Thanks, Pat.
I appreciate it, guys. Soon. Thanks for having me on.